Hey guys, Kripparrian here. Today I'm going to fill you in what I've been doing for the last few weeks, and that is doing the Ironman challenge. I completed it yesterday. I got to 85, and I'm happy to say that I'm the first person to actually get there to 85 while following all the rules. If you don't know what the Ironman challenge is, these are basically the rules. I'm not going to go over them, just take a second to read them if you're actually interested. It was an amazing experience. It really was. People say it's not a race and all that, but they have a ladder up, and when you have a ladder and you have a strict guideline, that's a competition, at least to me. So I feel really good about it. Before I get into it, I just want to mention that in addition to following all the rules, I also did not use the auction house or trading, which is allowed. I felt it gave an unfair advantage to players that had certain items available in that area, and I also didn't use any of the mounts that come with like account-based services like the Tyrael's charger and all that stuff. I just left all that stuff alone, as you can see there. I also didn't fraps practically anything, at least up until the end where I actually hit 85. The reason being is that I didn't want that to be a factor in me dying. When you fraps, you have less FPS. Your hard drive on the fraps can have errors. You can crash out. I didn't want any additional risk that I didn't have to take. The primary goal was actually getting there, not so much, making a video about it, as, funny enough, I am now. So this thing's been going on for over a month now. I picked it up about 3 weeks ago. It was on a Sunday. I started a new hunter on a server I've never been before. Chose the server because I was having a good connection to it, a great ping, and it had to be a PvE server, of course, because the primary problem with this challenge is that you're not allowed to die in any way at all. So after getting through some of the new zones, I've never done the cataquest before. 1 to 60 was just about a completely new experience for me. I get to this one quest at level 23 called like Morshan Caravan Delivery. What a terrible quest to do for this Ironman challenge. I mean, when I took this quest, I had no idea what I was in for, but what I was in for was certain death. So that's exactly what happened. Got to 23, took this quest, died. No chance of completing this quest. Was really pissed off. Took like a couple minutes to collect myself and, made another character even though I was still a little bit angry. And I was trying to speed through it a little bit faster this time because, I just got through that entry grind, and I actually died level 5. Level 5. I died pretty much right away. It was like this quest where there's this like Naga Queen, and you get like these NPCs to battle her, and then you like chip in and stuff, but nah. I was standing right in front of her. I wanted to chip in right away, so I meleeed her right when she became available, and she was courteous enough to frostbolt me for about 3,000 damage. Next Monday comes along, I'm sitting at work, I'm feeling real dumb about the last Sunday. I mean, I knew this challenge, this is for me. I could do this. If anyone can do this, I can do it. I really wanted to get back into it, but all the disadvantages started to come into play. But that day when I got home from work, I started up again, and I started more confident than ever that I was going to get this thing done. So I started the final hunter that eventually made it that Monday. And I started doing all the Cataclysm quests again. Every quest that had any kind of vehicle or any like even dungeon quest, any quest that had a blue item reward, I made sure I knew every detail about this quest before I did it. So leveling 1 to 60 was pretty slow for me because of that, but I felt it was a necessary measure because of my inexperience. So I finished most of the classic zones. I'm about 60, I gotta go into Burning Crusade. There's maybe, between, I don't exactly remember, 6 and 10 people ahead of me on this WoW Ironman ladder, and I knew I had to smash it. I mean, Burning Crusade, I knew it pretty well. I haven't done it in a long time, but I was pretty aware of most of the things, and I felt comfortable moving at a pretty fast rate. Now, moving at a fast rate involves doing really stupid things. It involves like trapping mobs, running through sets of mobs, feigning death. I only killed mobs I absolutely had to kill for quests, nothing more, just to get it done as fast as I could. And because of this, I actually had my first near-death experience. It was around level 64, I don't remember exactly. I was doing like this, stop the steam vent quest in Zangarmarsh, and there's a few too many mobs aggroing when I hit the little valve. So I ran around to the side of the lake, feigned death. I'm like, whatever, no problem, same old, same old. But then this Naga Steam Witch or whatever, she casts a spell called a Freezing Circle. And she cast it right on top of me where I was feigned death. And it hit for like 2,500 damage. Now, if you're thinking maybe that's not a lot, you have to keep in mind, we don't have any gear on. My life total at the time was probably just under 3,000. So it freaked me out. I mean, if I took a hit or more before I feigned death, I surely would have died there. After that almost tragic experience, I started slowing my pace a little bit, but I knew that I had to keep up and pass these guys that are ahead of me still. So I still went about it pretty fast, pretty reckless, and when I hit 70, I wasn't sure if I was going to stick it to doing Burning Crusade quests or go to Wrath of the Lich King at 70. I gave Wrath a try at 70, and it seemed pretty easy, so I stuck to it. The following day, which was last Wednesday, I had a chance to really get into this competition, get at the top. I have Wednesdays off of work, and I know Wrath of the Lich King like the back of my hand. Well, more or less. Anyway, so I knew that if I just raced it as fast as I could from 70, see how far I can get. I did a full day gaming session. I ended up doing 14 hours straight playing Wrath of the Lich King. I knew that I could scare off these guys, Doing this competition is really nerve-wracking. On top of that, you're competing with other people. If you see a competitor drop like, a dozen levels in a day and pass you, you're gonna panic. You're gonna have this additional pressure to your leveling scheme, and you might run into a wall. You might have to get overconfident, do things too quickly, out of your comfort zone, crash and die. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to, I wanted to lay that pressure on the other competitors by leveling as much as I could in one day. So I just powered it, man. I smashed it that day. I went Howling Fjord, then I went to Borean Tundra, Dragonblight. I ended up doing 70 to 79 in a 14-hour straight gaming session. That thing probably freaked the hell out of other people. And I don't know if it had any correlation at all, but the next day when I was at work, sitting on my 79, the top spot on the Ironman ladder, feeling good, every person over 70 died. Everyone. I can't remember if it was like maybe 3 or 4. I don't exactly remember the amount, but all of them died. And at that point, without doing anything, I had a 10-level head start, a 10-level lead over everyone else in the competition. Playing as reckless as I did 14 hours straight is definitely not recommended for this challenge, but I felt I had to do it. The reason is you really lose focus after a while. You make mistakes, you run into things you don't know, but you assume the best case scenario, and sometimes that leads to a tragic end. I actually had my second near-death experience in Borean Tundra. There's this cave, as you can see here. I'm reenacting on my main character. It's like Magmoth's Fall. So, I was just cruising around. I had to do some quests in there. I don't exactly remember how the quest happens. So I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. It's an opening in the earth. I guess I'll just use my flying mount to get down there, right? So I fly right over it, and then I lose my mount, and I fall straight down. I fell into the water and survived. There's a bunch of mobs there. I almost died of those mobs. But the lucky part was that I didn't drop on any of the ground surfaces or any of the bones in the area. As you can see that when I actually try to reenact it for you guys, I actually died on my main character trying to do so. So I'm 79, 10-level head start over everyone. I'm just doing a slow day. That night after work, I got to 81, and that day at work, I started doing some kind of preparation. How could I plan out my next couple levels so I could do it slowly enough that I could minimize the risk, but I could do it fast enough that it wouldn't leave too much room for anyone else to catch up to me. So I made certain projections, how much experience I would get in certain zones, what point in leveling would that put me at, and I could essentially have an idea of what I was going to do. And it actually turned out pretty well. I stuck to the plan pretty well. I didn't do as many quests as I wanted in Ice Crown. It seems that although they really nerfed Burning Crusade, they've really nerfed Wrath of the Lich King, there's still a lot of Wrath of the Lich King 5-man quests that are quite difficult in Ice Crown. So I didn't bother trying to do those at all. So at this point, I'm almost 84. I'm like 83.5, pretty close to where I planned to be. And I started doing Cataclysm quests. And man, this stuff is really tense. It's really nerve-wracking. You know, you're going from killing mobs that have 10,000 life to killing mobs that have 30,000 life. Not only that, you know, Blizzard did a pretty good job of giving all the basic mobs some fun abilities. So you get to run into a lot of surprises that you don't really realize are there when you're leveling with such a geared character compared to, you know, one with no gear at all. I didn't find Hygel too bad, at least, you know, from a hunter's perspective. Then I went on to do Vashtir. It was a little bit more tense because, you know, there's mobs all around you. You got whale sharks. You got like boss mobs just floating by your side. You know, I was a little bit on edge for a lot of those moments, but I was going to plan, and then I hit this quest, looking forward, right? So you just talk to some Tarn chick, and then you take them out, and then you go to a building, and then you go through the building, complete the quest. But no, this is a known issue, and it happened to me, right? So the building's completely walled off. I tried everything. I just couldn't complete this quest, and you know it's necessary to do this quest as part of the main Vashtir line. So you know I ticketed GM, and you know he gives me some washy response like, yeah, we can't do anything, you know, we're sorry, whatever, you know, you can read it yourself. Anyway, so I had to go to Deepholm early, and Deepholm is not a cool place, man. Those mobs are vicious. Half the mobs in there, man, you can't just like send your pet in, heal your pet and kill it. You can't do that. Your pet will die. There's mobs in there that were like two-shot at my pet. And like I didn't know which ones they were, because you know the first time I did this on my main hunter, you just like, you know, three-shot the mobs, whatever. You don't even know what they do. But these mobs are crazy. Even though the difficulty level was really at the top, I felt compelled to do it this way. I didn't really want to go back to the Wrath of the Lich King and chain some dailies after like a week, maybe get 85. I didn't feel that was really the best route to take the challenge. So I just decided, man, I just gotta smash it again. Do a Deepholm. Let's just finish Deepholm all the way. So I'm doing these quests quite slowly, but you know, fortunately they give a lot of experience, and I'm making it, man. I'm 84, 84.9. 84.9, and I do this quest to go inside the crumbling depths. I gotta talk to like some piece of rock, and there's this spider, Amphia. So I'm like, okay, whatever, 90k life. Do I trap it and just do the quest? I'm like, nah, whatever. Let's try to kill it. I didn't remember if it gave me like a quest item or whatever. Let's go for it. Why not? Big mistake. Huge mistake. So I send my pet in. This mob devastates my pet. My pet's at like 10% life in like 2 seconds. I'm like, holy shit. Okay? So I master's call my pet back to me, but we're in a dungeon, so I didn't have much distance from myself and the mob. So I snare the mob and I do a disengage so I can, you know, get some distance, maybe kite it away. Typically in this situation, I would send my pet in when it's at full life, master's call it back to me or bring it back to me, kite the mob with my pet beside me while it's getting healed with med pet, then send it back in, you know, so and so. Eventually I was going to kill the mob, but no. I disengage right then. Pet 10%. This mob is doing crazy damage. I disengage bug happens. If you're not familiar with the disengage bug, basically you hit disengage and you disengage off the server pretty much. Like you just get disconnected immediately. So that's exactly what happened. And man, I've never typed in my password faster than that moment. But I typed in my password. Luckily I have an SSD, so I loaded in pretty quick. I'm loaded in. I'm spamming number 7. I'm spamming the turn. Spamming it. Load bar is going. 100%. I get in. Pet's dead. I'm at half-life. Deterrence. I feign death. I make it out. But imagine, that mob could have killed me in like 1 more second. Like sometimes you just get lucky. You get lucky from the unlucky things that are bound to happen to you. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, man, I almost just threw it away. I didn't have to be in Deepholm, man. I'm 84.9. I could just go to Wrath of the Lich King, you know, pop out 25 dailies, kill like a dozen mobs. Good to go. 85, you know, no problem. Just sipping away the lemonade, like easy peasy. Almost threw it away. But, you know, at that point I decided, take it really slow. Don't take any more crazy risks than Deepholm. Fortunately, the next few quests are pretty easy, so I did them anyway. I was maybe 150k experience short of 85. and I really didn't have any safe quests in Deepholm anymore, so I just went back to the Wrath of the Lich King, did a handful of dailies, got 85, and I felt so good. The whole journey was absolutely amazing, man. It was just like progression rating. Progression rating, you play hardcore for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and at the end, you just feel relieved you finished. You step back, take some time to relax and really take in the feedback. And in this case, the feedback has been really good. I've been getting so much support from the people on the forums, so much support from you guys at YouTube sending me PMs. I feel really good about it. And telling you, man, I was really down with the game, and doing this, it made me relive all those memories, leveling as fast as I did, all that hardcore leveling moments. It kind of brought it back into me, bringing back so many memories, so many people I've played with, and it was just amazing. I really encourage you guys to try the challenge. I know it sounds a little bit dumb, like, hey, I just finished the challenge. Why don't you guys try it? I mean, I'm sorry, but, hopefully a lot of you have already heard about the challenge and you're not in that case. My overall play time, it was pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. It was 4 days, 17 hours, 40 minutes. I feel it can shave off a little bit, but if you guys want tips on how to do it, minimize certain death situations. I mean, there's things that you're gonna do while you're doing this Ironman challenge that if you disconnect, you're done. Like, that's it. Like, this jousting thing I'm doing right now, I did this quest. If you disconnect during the jousting, that's it, man. That's it. Game over. You want to minimize those situations. They're gonna happen. You can avoid them, but I would say not to. I'd say just go for it. Just really be on top. Just try not to have too many of these cases. And another thing is, maximize in-game time for leveling. I mean, when you're in the game, you're running a lot of risks. You could like fall through the world. All these bugs could happen. I almost died, and the biggest case was the disengage bug, right? So you never know. You really gotta, if you're online doing this challenge, level. Don't just sit around and do nothing. Anyway, guys, I just want to sum it up. I haven't felt this good about World of Warcraft in a long time. At least since Cataclysm was released. And I just want to share that experience with you guys. And I just want to thank you guys again for giving me all this support. And I was just so glad I was able to make it all the way. See you guys later.